Genghis Khan c. 1162 August 18, 1227, born Temüjin, was the founder and great Khan of the Mongol Empire, which became the largest contiguous empire in history after his death. He came to power by uniting many of the nomadic tribes of Northeast Asia. After founding the empire and being proclaimed Genghis Khan, he started the Mongol invasions that conquered most of Eurasia. These included raids of the Karakitai, Caucasus, Mongol Empire, Western Xia and Jin dynasties. These campaigns were often accompanied by wholesale massacres of the civilian populations, especially in the Khwarezmian and Western Xia-controlled lands. By the end of his life, the Mongol Empire occupied a substantial portion of Central Asia and China. Before Genghis Khan died, he assigned Death.He Khan as his successor and split his empire into khanates among his sons and grandsons. He died in 1227 after defeating the Western Xia. He was buried in an unmarked grave somewhere in Mongolia. His descendants extended the Mongol Empire across most of Eurasia by conquering or creating vassal states in all of modern-day China, Korea, the Caucasus, Central Asia, and substantial portions of modern Eastern Europe, Russia, and Southwest Asia. Many of these invasions repeated the earlier large-scale slaughters of local populations. As a result, Genghis Khan and his empire have a fearsome reputation in local histories. Beyond his military accomplishments, Genghis Khan also advanced the Mongol Empire in other ways. He decreed the adoption of the Uyghur script as the Mongol Empire's writing system. He also practiced meritocracy and encouraged religious tolerance in the Mongol Empire while unifying the nomadic tribes of Northeast Asia. Present-day Mongolians regard him as the founding father of Mongolia. Although known for the brutality of his campaigns and considered by many to have been a genocidal ruler, Genghis Khan is also credited with bringing the Silk Road under one cohesive political environment. This brought communication and trade from Northeast Asia into Muslim Southwest Asia and Christian Europe, thus expanding the horizons of all three cultural areas. Early lineage: Temüjin was related on his father's side to Kabul Khan, Ambathai, and Hotula Khan, who had headed the Kamag-Mongol Confederation and were descendants of Bodongkomungkag. When the Jurchen Jin dynasty switched support from the Mongols to the Tatars in 1161, they destroyed Kabul Khan. Temüjin's father, Yeshugei, emerged as the head of the ruling Mongol clan. This position was contested by the rival Taoyichiud clan, who descended directly from Ambathai. When the Tatars grew too powerful after 1161, the Jin switched the support from the Tatars to the Karaites. Little is known about Temüjin's early life, due to the lack of contemporary written records. The few sources that give insight into this period often contradict. Temüjin's name was derived from the Mongol word Timur, meaning of iron, while Jin denotes agency, thus Temüjin means blacksmith. Temüjin was probably born in 1162 in Daluan Buldog, near the mountain Burkhan Khaldun and the rivers Onan and Gelin in modern-day northern Mongolia, close to the current capital Ulaanbaatar. The Secret History of the Mongols reports that Temüjin was born grasping a blood clot in his fist, a traditional sign that he was destined to become a great leader. He was the second son of his father Yeshugei, who was a Kiyad chief prominent in the Kamag-Mongol Confederation and an ally of Dofrul Khan of the Karaite tribe. Temüjin was the first son of his mother Holan. According to the Secret History, Temüjin was named after the Tatar chief Temüjin Uge, whom his father had just captured. Yesukai's clan was Borjigan, and Holan was from the old Khanut sublineage of the Kongrad tribe. Like other tribes, they were nomads. Temüjin's noble background made it easier for him to solicit help from and eventually consolidate the other Mongol tribes. Early life and family. Temüjin had three brothers Hassan and Temüj, one sister Temüjin, and two half-brothers Begta and Belgite. Like many of the nomads of Mongolia, Temüjin's early life was difficult. His father arranged a marriage for him and delivered him at age 9 to the family of his future wife Bort of the tribe Kongarad. Temüjin was to live serving the head of the household Daisetsin until the marriageable age of 12. While heading home, his father ran into the neighboring Tartars, who had long been Mongol enemies, and they offered him food that poisoned him. Upon learning this, Temüjin returned home to claim his father's position as chief, but the tribe refused this and abandoned the family, leaving it without protection. For the next several years, the family lived in poverty, surviving mostly on wild fruits, ox carcasses, marmots, and other small game killed by Temüjin and his brothers. Temüjin's older half-brother Begta began to exercise power as the eldest male in the family and would eventually have the right to claim Holan as wife. Temüjin's resentment erupted during one hunting excursion when Temüjin and his brother Kasa killed Begta. In a raid around 1177, Temüjin was captured by his father's former allies, the Taipei, and enslaved, reportedly with a gang. With the help of a sympathetic guard, he escaped from the guard night by hiding in a river crevice. The escape earned Temüjin a reputation. Soon, Yelme and Bowachu joined forces with him. They and the guard's son Chalorn eventually became generals of Genghis Khan. At this time, none of the tribal confederations of Mongolia were united politically, and arranged marriages were often used to solidify temporary alliances. Temüjin grew up observing the tough political climate, which included tribal warfare, thievery, raids, corruption, and revenge between confederations, compounded by interference from abroad such as from China to the south. Temüjin's mother Holan taught him many lessons, especially the need for strong alliances to ensure stability in Mongolia. Marriage to Bort. As previously arranged by his father, Temüjin married Bort of the Ongirat tribe when he was around 16 in order to cement alliances between the two tribes. Soon after the marriage, Bort was kidnapped by the Merkits and reportedly given away as a wife. Temüjin rescued her with the help of his friend and future rival, Jamukha, and his protector, Tofrul Khan of the Kerarite tribe. She gave birth to a son, Jochi, 9 months later, clouding the issue of his parentage. Despite speculation over Jochi, Bort would be Temüjin's only empress, though he did follow tradition by taking several morganatic wives. Bort had 3 more sons, Chagatai Ogadi and Tolu. Genghis Khan also had many other children with his other wives, but they were excluded from succession. The names of at least 6 daughters are known, and while they played significant roles behind the scenes during his lifetime, no documents have survived that definitively provide the number and names of daughters born to the consorts of Genghis Khan, uniting the Mongol confederations. In the early 13th century, the Central Asian plateau north of China was divided into several tribes of confederation, including Naimans, Merkits, Tartars, Kamag Mongols, and Kerarites, that were all prominent and often unfriendly toward each other, as evidenced by random raids, revenge attacks, and plundering. Early attempts at power. Temüjin began his ascent to power by offering himself as an ally to his father's and Tofrul, who was Khan of the Kerarites, and is better known by the Chinese title Zhuang Khan, which the Jurchen Jin dynasty granted him in 1197. This relationship was first reinforced when Bort was captured by the Merkits. Temüjin turned to Tofrul for support. and Tofrul offered 20,000 of his Karaite warriors and suggested that Temüjin involve his childhood friend Jamukha, who had himself become Khan of his own tribe, the Jadarin. Although the campaign recaptured Bort and utterly defeated the Merkits, it also paved the way for the split between Temüjin and Jamukha. Before this, they were blood brothers vowing to remain eternally faithful. Rift with Jamukha and defeat at Dalen Baal's hut. As Jamukha and Temüjin drifted apart in the friendship, each began consolidating power, and they became rivals. Jamukha supported the traditional Mongolian aristocracy, while Temüjin followed a meritocratic method, and attracted a broader range and lower class of followers. His earlier defeat of the Merkits, and a proclamation by the shaman Kokotut that the eternal blue sky had set aside the world for Temüjin. Temüjin began rising to power. In 1186, Temüjin was elected Khan of the Mongols. Threatened by this rise, Jamukha attacked Temüjin in 1187 with an army of 30,000 troops. Temüjin gathered his followers to defend against the attack but was decisively beaten in the Battle of Dalen Baal's hut. However, Jamukha horrified and alienated potential followers by boiling 70 young male captives alive in cauldrons. Tofrul, as Temüjin's patron, was exiled to the Karakitai. The life of Temüjin for the next 10 years is unclear, as historical records are mostly silent on that period. Return to power. Around the year 1197, the Jin attacked the formal vassal, the Tartars, with help from the Karaites and Mongols. Temüjin commanded part of this attack, and after victory, he and Tofrul were restored by the Jin to positions of power. The Jin bestowed Tofrul with the honorable title of Ong Khan, and Temüjin with a lesser title of Jaut Kari. Around 1200, the main rivals of the Mongol Confederation were the Naimans to the west, the Merkits to the north, the Tanguts to the south, and the Jin to the east. In his rule and his conquest of rival tribes, Temüjin broke with Mongol tradition in a few crucial ways. He delegated authority based on merit and loyalty, rather than family ties. As an incentive for absolute obedience and the Yasa code of law, Temüjin promised civilians and soldiers wealth from future war spoils. When he defeated rival tribes, he did not drive away the soldiers and abandon the civilians. Instead, he took the conquered tribe under his protection and integrated its members into his own tribe. He would even have his mother adopt orphans from the conquered tribe, bringing them into his family. These political innovations inspired great loyalty among the conquered people, making Temüjin stronger with each victory. Rift with Tofrul. Sengam, son of Tofrul, envied Temüjin's growing power and affinity with his father. He allegedly planned to assassinate Temüjin. Although Tofrul was allegedly saved on multiple occasions by Temüjin, he gave in to his son and became uncooperative with Temüjin. Temüjin learned of Sengam's intentions and eventually defeated him and his loyalists. One of the later ruptures between Temüjin and Tofrul was Tofrul's refusal to give his daughter in marriage to Jochi, Temüjin's first son. This was disrespectful in Mongolian culture and led to a war. Tofrul allied with Jamukha, who already opposed Temüjin's forces. However, the dispute between Tofrul and Jamukha, plus the desertion of a number of their allies to Temüjin, led to Tofrul's defeat. Jamukha escaped during the conflict. This defeat was a catalyst for the fall and eventual dissolution of the Karaite tribe. The next direct threat to Temüjin was the Naimans, with whom Jamukha and his followers took refuge. The Naimans did not surrender, although enough sectors again voluntarily sided with Temüjin. In 1201, Kurultai elected Jamukha as Gur Khan, universal ruler, a title used by the rulers of the Karakitai. Jamukha's assumption of this title was the final breach with Temüjin, and Jamukha formed a coalition of tribes to oppose him. Before the conflict, several generals abandoned Jamaka, including Subutai, Yelma's well-known younger brother. After several battles, Jamaka was turned over to Temüjin by his own men in 1206. According to the secret history, Temüjin again offered his friendship to Jamaka. Temüjin had killed the men who betrayed Jamaka, stating that he did not want disloyal men in his army. Jamaka refused the offer, saying that there can only be one sun in the sky, and he asked for a noble death. The custom was to die without spilling blood, specifically by having one's back broken. Jamaka requested this form of death, although he was known to have boiled his opponent's generals alive. Sole ruler of the Mongol plains, the part of the Merkit clan that sided with the Naimans were defeated by Subutai, who was by then a member of Temüjin's personal guard and later became one of the most successful commanders of Genghis Khan. The Naimans' defeat left Temüjin as the sole ruler of the Mongol steppe. All the prominent confederations fell united under his Mongol Confederation. Accounts of Genghis Khan's life are marked by claims of a series of betrayals and conspiracies. These include rifts with his early allies such as Jamaka and Wang Khan, his son Jochi, and problems with the most important shaman, who allegedly tried to drive a wedge between him and his loyal brother Kasa. His military strategies showed a deep interest in gathering intelligence and understanding the motivations of his rivals, exemplified by his extensive spy network and yam route systems. He seemed to be a quick student, adopting new technologies and ideas that he encountered, such as siege warfare from the Chinese. He was also ruthless, demonstrated by his tactic of measuring against the linchpin used against the tribes led by Jamaka. As a result, by 1206, Temüjin had managed to unite and subdue the Merkits, Naimans, Mongols, Karaites, Tartars, Uyghurs, and other disparate smaller tribes under his rule. This was a monumental feat. It resulted in peace between previously warring tribes, and a single political and military force. The union became known as the Mongols. At a Kurultai, a council of Mongol chiefs, Temüjin was acknowledged as Khan of the consolidated tribes and took the new title Genghis Khan. The title Kaghan was conferred posthumously by his son and successor Ogedei, who took the title for himself. Religion. Genghis Khan was a Tengrist, but was religiously tolerant and interested in learning philosophical and moral lessons from other religions. He consulted Buddhist monks, Muslims, Christian missionaries, and the Taoist monk Qiutuji. Genghis Khan and the following Yuan emperors forbade Islamic practices like halal butchering, forcing Mongol methods of butchering animals on Muslims, and other restrictive decrees continued. Muslims had to slaughter sheep in secret. Genghis Khan directly called Muslims and Jews slaves, and demanded that they follow the Mongol method of eating rather than the halal method. Circumcision was also forbidden. Jews were also affected, and forbidden by the Mongols to eat kosher. Among all the alien peoples, only the Hui say, "We do not eat Mongol food. By the aid of heaven we have pacified you. You are our slaves, yet you do not eat our food or drink. How can this be right?" Quote, he thereupon made them eat. If you slaughter sheep, you'll be considered guilty of a crime. He issued a regulation to that effect. All the Muslims say, if someone else slaughters, we do not eat, because the poor people are upset by this. From now on, Muslimin Hui and Jew Hui, no matter who kills, will eat and must cease slaughtering sheep themselves, and cease the rite of circumcision.